G'day, it's Simon from Pumped On Property here, and today we're going to be walking through a house and granny flat in the south of Brisbane. We're in the local government area of the city of Logan. We're in a suburb called Eagleby, down on the south side of Brisbane, in a beautiful location, and you can see here we have a super functional house and granny flat setup. Now, Logan is one of the local government areas of Brisbane that's far more willing to allow these granny flats to be built and rented out because they understand the severity of the housing crisis that we have at the moment with a ridiculously undersupplied rental market. Now, when I was talking to the builder just outside, these guys have just secured a 12-month lease for this 2-bed, 1-bath granny flat for $475 per week, which absolutely blows my mind. And it goes to say how severe this rental crisis is at the moment, that people are willing to pay that amount of money for these types of dwellings. Now, the investor here has made a really strategic decision with being able to create more cash flow through the investment. You know, they wanted to obviously manufacture some additional cash flow because with the higher interest rates at the moment, they were just getting smashed by cash flow. So sitting down with the town planner and a builder to try and think about how we can create some additional rent on the property, we came up with this design to build a super functional 2-bed, 1-bath granny flat that doesn't impede too much on the main dwelling out the front as well. Now, the main house is currently rented at the moment for over $550 per week, so they're getting a combined rental return of over $1,000 per week, which is an incredible rental return above the 6% range in this area at the moment. Now, the average rental yield for Eagleby as it stands right now is in the 4%, so exceeding that by 2% is absolutely incredible. But we know the Brisbane average rental yield right now is in the high 3%, so absolutely smashing the average rental return at the moment. What I also love is this pocket of Brisbane is, statistically undervalued at the moment. It has not performed as well as those regions a little bit closer to the city, plain and simply because of that proximity and because of the stigma that surrounds the Logan City Council. It's still seeing a hell of a lot of population growth. It still has an incredibly low vacancy rate. There's amazing infrastructure growth occurring around this area at the moment. So we do believe that between now and the 2032 Olympic Games, we'll see a massive uplift in the capital value of this particular property. And fortunately, the investor gets to sit on a nice positively geared property in this environment with higher interest rates, which just makes their life a hell of a lot easier and dramatically reduces their risk and their exposure to negative gearing. Now, as we can see as we walk around, there is a little bit of work that's required to get this place completely finished. So a little bit of landscaping, putting in some garden beds, putting in some turf, putting in a big double carport out the front as well to create that undercover car parking. We know here in Brizzy, we do get smashed by some summer storms quite frequently. So having that undercover parking is what enabled them to generate a much higher than average rental return on this particular property. So when sitting down with the property manager, had have they not put in that carport, they would have probably only been able to get maybe $430 or $440 per week. But by spending a little bit more money putting in that carport, it jacked up that return to $475 a week. Now, when I was talking to the builder, they actually just handed one of these style of granny flats over in a different suburb, 70 square meters, 2-bed, 1-bath, big 16-meter outdoor entertaining area as well. And they actually got $520 per week. So, we're seeing these 2-bed, 1-bath granny flats in Logan rent for between about $450 up to $520, maybe even higher in some regions if you're willing to go a little bit of upspec as well. So incredible cash flow returns. And because this is an investment property, because this is a brand new build, what the investor is going to do is actually go sit down with a tax depreciation specialist, and they'll put together a tax depreciation report which will allow them to depreciate this build over time. Now, one of the questions that we often get asked about these house and granny flats is how desirable are they and who actually rents them? Now, why I wanted to bring you this walkthrough is to show you the functionality of the particular site plan. You can clearly see that there's plenty of separation and privacy between the main dwelling and the granny flat. There's plenty of separation between the neighbours as well. We've got big colour bond fencing surrounding it all to make sure that there is that privacy. And one of the rebuttals that I have to those questions is, if you think about a townhouse or an apartment building, they are far less private. They are far less functional compared to something like this. You know, we all want to live that Australian dream where we have our own property to live in, we have our own little outdoor space, we've got our own off-street parking, a lot of privacy, a lot of security. And that's why we love these granny flats so much, because it enables you to target, you know, a house on a piece of land in a great location that's going to maximize your capital growth return longer term, but then manufacturing some cash flow. You know, if you can get to a point in your life where you've got maybe 2 house and granny flats owned completely outright, as well as your principal place of residence, that will enable you to consider yourself financially free, living a life filled with choices, living off that rental income. If you want to learn more about how that strategy works and come together, then go back to our previous podcast and an episode where we talk about the 2 properties to financial freedom strategy. But anyway, guys, that's the house and granny flat walkthrough. I hope you've liked it. Thanks for staying in. For anybody out there that already has a property with granny flat potential, then there is some great opportunities. And if you want to reach out to us at Pumped On Property, you can send me an email directly to info@pumpedonproperty.com. And we can get the conversation started about how we can actually get one of these granny flats on your property. We can make that introduction to a really sophisticated town planner that will be able to determine whether or not your particular site legally allows a granny flat. We can also liaise directly with a builder, start to put together a bit of a site plan and a design and a quote so you can see how much it's going to cost. Then we can obviously take that to a mortgage broker to get finance approval.